Hey there, thanks for joining me today. This is Laura Lynn with Keep Inking Up. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in San Antonio, Texas. And today we're making a Mother's Day card. This year especially, I think all mothers deserve a really sweet handmade card made with love from you to thank her for being your mom. And we're using the Timeless Tulips stamp set with coordinating punch. I chose this stamp set because it has the Happy Mother's Day, really sweet little sentiment there that we're going to be using. And who doesn't love a coordinating punch? So we're going to use this punch. So I'm going to put that aside for right now. I don't have a lot of space here. Okay, so today's card I'm going to be using Mango Melody. I love this color. So I have a half a sheet of cardstock. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to fold it in half. Get it lined up, and then I'll use my bone folder to give it a nice crisp crease. Okay, and then I have a piece of Mango Melody that I've already embossed using the Layered Leaves 3D embossing folder. Unfortunately, this folder, or I'll bring it in, this folder is not going to be in the next annual catalog, so it is retiring, and I'm really sad to see it go. I've used it a lot. You can tell by how worn off the those little logos are, but I use this 3D folder quite a bit. It's just so pretty. You can see how it has the different dimension on there of the embossing. It's such a pretty background. It goes great with any floral images, and I use a lot of floral images. So you can use either side of that. I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to use our liquid glue. You don't need much, just a little bit around the perimeter here. And I will center that on my card base. And you can use the other side if you want of the embossing. I'll press that down so that it adheres really well. And then I'm going to set that aside for a minute while we do some more stamping. I have a piece of Whisper White that I've already cut using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. I'll bring those in. These are quickly becoming a favorite set of dies. I use these just nearly on every project. It's only second behind my Stitched Shapes dies that I use all the time for sentiments. So I use this largest scallop rectangle, stitched rectangle for this, and I've already cut that out just to save a little bit of time. And we're going to do some stamping on here. So let me see. We're going to be using Mango Melody to match my cardstock and Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to begin with the Granny Apple Green to do my stems. So I've mounted both of my stems. There are two stems in this set, a curved one and a straight one. And I'm going to ink up the curved one. I don't need the whole thing, so I'm only doing partly on here. And I want my curve to go about like that. That looks good. And then I'll ink up the other stem. And I'll put one, let's see, I'll put one over here. And then, oh, I got some green on there. And then I'll put another one over here. That's okay. There'll be enough else going on that you won't see that. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this while I'm thinking about it. Using my Simply Chamois, I clean my two stems and the block apparently, because I will be wanting to do this again for my inside and my envelope. So I'm going to put the green away for the moment, and then I'm going to bring in my Mango Melody and stamp some flowers. Now this is a distinctive stamp set, which means there's a lot of layers to it, but it also means you don't want to have an ink pad that is too juicy. So a tip that I like to do whenever I'm using distinctive stamps is I'll use a plastic spoon and I'll reuse it over and over again, and I'm just going to press the ink away from the middle. I'm not taking the ink off, I'm just moving it, and you'll see that it'll lighten up in the middle quite a bit because I want ink, but I don't want too much ink. And I can just clean that off and reuse it again. And now when I go in there, I'll get just the right amount of ink on there, and I'm going to stamp these buds on these two stems. You see all the detail in those? I'm gonna go ahead and clean that stamp. You see all the detail in those particular images? They're just such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful images. Okay, I'm gonna close this ink pad up again for now. And I can go ahead and glue this piece onto my card. Let me find my card back in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of glue on this piece and add that to the center of my card. Let's see. There we go, that looks nice. Now ahead of time I did a little bit of stamping and punching. So I stamped the Happy Mother's Day and I used the smallest die from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Oops, you can see right there, that fit right there. I stamped that and I've added some dimensionals on there. Oh, you know what, I'm not gonna put that on yet until we do the leaves. I also did the tulip, and then I used the punch to punch out the tulip, and I've added some dimensionals on the back of there. If I can take the backings off for the dimensionals and add this flower here to the stem there. That's coming together nicely, and I've already cut out 3 leaves that I stamped in the Granny Apple Green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to curl the edges of these leaves just a teensy little bit. Okay, just to give a little bit of dimension. And I'm going to add these leaves on here with glue dots. So I'm going to put a glue dot at the bottom of this leaf, and I'm going to set that right there. Then I'm going to, I think I want the leaf going this way. I'm going to put this leaf. I don't want to cover up too much of the flower. I'll have it go right there. And I'll have this one go off like that. I think that looks pretty good. And now I can take the dimensionals off of the sentiment and slide that in here. Make sure it's straight. Slide that between the leaf and the flower. And isn't that a pretty card? A very simple Mother's Day card with a little bit of dimension with the leaves. But now I need to do the inside. So for that I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And the coordinating stamp set to these dies is the So Sentimental. And I am going to be using this Wishing You Much Happiness Today and Always. I use this image for birthdays, Mother's Day, just about anything, because yeah, wishing you much happiness today and always. It fits almost any occasion. So I have that stamp mounted on a clear block, and I will use the Mango Melody for that. So I'm going to ink that up and put that on my inside panel here. Let's see. I want to make sure it's a little bit centered. I don't know if I moved. No, that looks good. But I do want to go ahead and add a tulip on here, so I'm going to ink that up, and I'll put a tulip right here. Beautiful. So that tulip needs a little stem. So I'll get my green apple out again. And let's see. I think I'll do the curved stem. I don't need a whole lot of it inked. So we'll get that right there. And I'm going to use a different leaf. There are a couple of different leaves in this stamp set. Oops. I'm going to knock everything off my table. Here you've got 3 different leaves. This one goes with the punch, and then there's these 2 other ones. So I'm going to use this one in the Granny Apple Green and just add a nice little leaf there on that. And I'll go ahead and close that up. And now we can, I'm gonna get that out of the way. I don't wanna get ink everywhere. I will add this to the inside of my card, and since I have my multi-purpose glue, that's what I'll use. You could use snail. Snail is retiring, but we'll be coming out with something new, a new adhesive coming out. Not to worry. And I'll add this to the inside of my card. Just like that. And isn't that a really pretty Mother's Day card? I just love this Mango Melody color too. You can barely see my little boo-boo there. Anyway, I loved this so much, I've made it in a couple of other colors, so I wanted to share those with you. My mom had the most beautiful blue eyes. We unfortunately lost her about 2.5 years ago to Alzheimer's. So I was thinking about her when I made this one. This is using Coastal Cabana. It looks very similar. And there's the inside of that one. And I made a coordinating envelope, just stamped very similar to the inside of the card on the envelope. And so I'll be mailing that out to another mom that I know. And then my favorite color is purple. You all know that about me. So this is using Highland Heather. So it's again the same layout. This one I did a vertical card. So there again is the Highland Heather with the tulip, and there again is the matching envelope. So 3 very pretty cards for Mother's Day. So now I need to make a coordinating envelope for this one. So anyway, I just wanted to share how to make this beautiful card for a mother for this Mother's Day, which is such an awkward, with all this quarantine stuff going on. I know a lot of moms aren't around their adult children, and I know that the moms that do have their children around with them all the time right now are probably wanting to spend a little time away from their kids. So anyway, all moms deserve a beautiful handmade card made with love. So thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.